Okay, I guess we are finally live now. Sorry for this delay. Let me check one more time whether we have a stable connection. So I'm checking my both streaming platforms. Uh, we have we streaming today on both LinkedIn and YouTube. So just a couple of seconds and we will start. Yeah, so everything looks good now. We can start our webinar. So hi to everyone who is joining us today. Today we continue talking about personal data, about privacy, about their compliance issues. I want to remind you that I'm helping business owners and companies to stay compliant, to stay protected, to actually avoid any violations in personal data protection, in the protection of personal data, right? So, my name is Joanne. I'm a privacy professional. I'm also a fractional DPO, meaning data protection officer, that helps companies actually follow privacy laws, comply with their requirements, and as I already mentioned, avoid any breaches and for sure to be fined for some violations. I want to remind you, so last week, we've launched a series of webinars. It's actually a series of practical webinars, specifically related to business owners, to website owners, from to mobile apps developers, and everyone who is actually related to collection or processing of personal data. In most cases, business owners equals developers of their websites, of their mobile apps, and for sure these topics are really valuable and useful for them to know, because in most cases when the company just started doing something, like when they just start developing their website or mobile app, it doesn't matter, maybe some SaaS platform, right? They start actually doing it from the beginning, and from the first stage of this the product development, they do need to think about personal data protection. And I deal a lot with startup business owners, with a lot of small companies that have limited resources. They actually don't always have a separate dedicated privacy team or legal professional team within their possession that who could lead them, that the team that could actually advise on these issues. That's where I come from. Yeah, so I usually try to lead business owners, to lead developers of different products from the beginning. And I like to work with this really a lot, because when their business owners take care about this from the first stage of their product development, it's really the best start point, right? So it's the best point to start thinking about and to start actually paying attention to this, because for sure it will be easier to fix some errors, fix some mistakes when you're only developing something, when you have no structure developed yet, when your system is still you're still configuring what kind of design you want, what kind of forms you will have for personal data collection, and so on, right? So that's why we are talking about today. We again continue talking about personal data, about privacy. And last webinar, we specifically talked about 3 basic principles in privacy law, in actual personal data protection, that I would say the main ground, right? So we cannot move forward without knowing these basics. And we have plenty of different privacy laws worldwide right now. So every three out of 4 countries now have its own privacy law adopted. So what does it mean for you as a business owner, right? It doesn't mean that you need to follow all these laws, right? It means that you actually, for sure, you will need to think about this, and your first actually action in this is just to think about this, to be aware of it, right? We will not talk about the applicability of the privacy laws today. We will not talk about separate privacy laws like Californian law or GDPR. We are talking about the basics, that apply to all practices, like irrespective of where are you located, or where you are registered, or where is your business actually was started. we are talking about basics in privacy, in personal data protection, which apply in most cases to absolutely all products, to absolutely all businesses, to absolutely every website that has any connection to personal data protection. And our today's topic specifically related to what is personal data, how you can figure out what kind of personal data you are collecting, right? How you can do it by yourself, or maybe with the help of your website developer if you have one. As I've already mentioned, in most cases, website owners, they are developers of their products. So it's easier for them to communicate with them, it's easier to them to explain some kind of issues that actually relate specifically to the technical aspect of their product and how they can figure out, how they can check it by themselves. So if you're a website developer or mobile app developer and you're an owner, you're a founder of your product, it's pretty good. It will be really helpful for you and useful to learn more about personal data and about actually the collection point you need to check today. And for sure, we will also talk about like a really simple checklist which you can apply right away after this webinar and start checking whether everything is compliant with your product, or maybe if you're just starting, you will be ready to launch your product in a compliant manner, right? Okay, so let's start with as I've told you previously, we will talk about the basic principles today. The one that it's really simple, and I want to be clear, and I want to explain complex issues that are sometimes pretty scary for business owners, for people that are not related in any manner to this compliance industry, to privacy compliance. So I want to talk with you really simple words. So the first issue I want to stop here, we'll talk about personal data, about the definition of this personal data, what actually it means, how you can understand what types of data you can relate to, personal data, which one not. So what we have, personal data is actually any type, any piece of data that can identify a person in any manner. What it means? It means that we'll need to think about, first of all, in this concept, we need to think about that personal data relates only to a natural person. This is the first and main principle. So when we talk about personal data, we do not think about legal entities. We don't think about corporations, about companies, because they do not have any connection to personal data. Personal data related only to natural person. And in all laws, all privacy laws, like worldwide, they will deal only with natural person. Sometimes, for sure, the company, in most cases, they are represented by individual persons, by natural persons. But in the same time, these persons, they are acting on behalf of the company. And depending on the type of personal data they will share with you as a business owner, depending on this, they can act in different, in different data categories. So they might be a natural person, they might act on behalf of themselves, or they can act on behalf of the company. And depending on the type of data they will share with you, with you as a business owner, they for sure might be the subject of personal data protection or might not be. And right now, I want to break down this a bit clearer. So when we talk about the definition of personal data, we're talking about identification, right? So any data that can identify a person. But we also shall understand here that we do not only have direct identifiers, for example, like your name, or let's say your social security number or ID number or your email address. Just having only one piece of information like this might be pretty a lot to identify a person, right? So these types of personal data are called direct identifiers, which means that it's pretty enough, and it's a lot of information to know for you to be able to identify a person. So there's also another type of personal data called this indirect identifiers, which means that it won't be enough just having this information in mind, just having this information in the possession, just one type of or one piece of information of such kind to identify a person straightforward, right? Again, I will give you some examples. When we talk about online identifiers. They are like the most obvious one, like IP addresses, like device IDs. All this type of, they are regarded as technical data. They are related to most cases they are not actively collected by users from users, but they collected in a passive mode. And I will talk about these two types a bit later. What means that? Meaning that these data actually collected, and when they are collected, you will not be able, just knowing this type, just knowing only these pieces of information, you will not be able to identify this person for 100%. You can just guess, but this information is not enough, right? And the main issue, the main point here, why we actually relate this indirect identifiers to personal data is because when you combine this information with other pieces of data, like your name, like your home address, let's say, and for example, you have IP address, right? You will be able for sure to identify the person, right? Because in combination, you have even more clear and full picture of the personal data of this person, right? And it will be easier for you to identify it. So that's why actually this data also relates to personal data. And now I want to switch to another aspect of the ways of personal data collection, how you can, as a business owner, get in this data. So you will also need to understand that not all like personal data that you are dealing with, like let's say a website, it's pretty simple and it will be clear for everyone that not all data are coming in a one way, right? In a one way to your website. For sure, the most clear and obvious way of getting this data is when users, website visitors, are actively sharing this data with you. So meaning that when they come to your website, they're browsing it, they may be visiting some web pages, they're like looking just around, right? And then, for example, they want to learn something more about your company, and you might have like maybe inquiry form, or maybe some contact form, or you have a special page for demo version of your website, or of your service, of your product that you're actually offering on this website, and you actually and this website owners want to learn more about your product. So in this case, it will enter this specific web page or this specific web form, and this person will share the personal data that you actually asked him or her to share with you, like your like the contact details of this person, let's say email address or phone number or both, and the name of this person, for example, like this. So in this case, we are talking about active sharing of personal data, meaning this person shared this data by themselves, voluntary. You didn't force them to do this, right? They did it by themselves because they wanted to do this. And this is like, as I already said, the most obvious, and this is their scope of personal data that most business owners are aware of, right? And when you ask them about what type of data you're collecting, they will for sure tell you exactly what it means. But there is also another page of this, right, of the way of personal data can be collected, and I am calling this, or you will also find like in many resources they are called in a such way, like passive collection of personal data, meaning that the data are collected without voluntary, sometimes without any knowledge of users. Sometimes when they enter websites, this data already been collected, right? Meaning that they do not know, sometimes they do not even give their permission, they do not aware of these practices. This is for sure about such types of data like cookies, like technical data, which I've already mentioned, IP address here, like technical device data. Sometimes it could be also checking like how you're behaving on the website, what are you clicking, how much time you're staying on this website, what actually you're specifically interested in. All this data, they are collected automatically. This is all our examples, but for sure not all websites do this. But in most cases, when the website has some app analytics service providers, analytics integrated on their website, which helps them to learn more, to be sure that they know their user, that they know their website visitors, right? It helps for sure to grow the business and to develop their business and to learn more about about their audience. But in most cases, like website visitors for sure do not understand that this data is collected and that they have the options to manage them. But you as a business owner for sure need to be aware of this, because this type of data, they are also considered personal data, and you also need to honor users' choices. You also need to honor requirements of personal data that are actually put regarding their personal data. What else I would like to mention here is that not all type of personal data are being treated in the same manner. So sometimes we talk about general personal data like name, surname, email addresses, your contact details, like phone numbers, like home address. We can also relate here a lot of other information, right? But we also have another category of personal data that are treated with their special care. And when we talk about this, I mean sensitive data, or you can also know them as special categories of data. To this data, we refer health data, medical data, actually biometric information, some religious information about your trade membership unions. Sometimes we can talk about your religious beliefs, right? All this data they are specifically sensitive. So if a company, if you as a business owner really needs and you have this necessity to collect this type of data, you will need to process and collect them with a special care. You'll need to ensure that your security practices are enhanced, that this data has special special manner of their protection, so they cannot be treated in the same manner as just regular ones. So you need to classify this data. You need to be aware that you have this data collected as well. And we are not talking about this privacy or security methods or actually measures that you need to apply, because it's not our topic today, but just for your understanding that this type of data, they are also existing, and that they require actually special the special methods of their protection. And just you need for your awareness about this. What else we are talking about today? I also want to stop just for a while on some hidden data sources that you as a business owner, as mobile app owner, need to be aware of. Sometimes they are overlooked. Sometimes you just cannot even think about them. So when I'm asking again the question, what type of data you are collecting, this is like one of the first questions that I always ask business owners. So what type of data you're collecting, right? They give me, in most cases, they give me just basic information. Like I told you, the most obvious website forms where you are collecting this data. But we do also have some hidden places, some hidden sources of personal data collection, some kind of which are actually collected from your integrated tools that you are putting on the websites. As I already mentioned, we are having analytics, right? Tools. Analytics, it could be a variety of them. I am not talking about specific. I will not name any brand today. It's not my mission, right? I just wanted to explain where you can see for them, where you can look for them and check them. So analytics tools. We can also have different CRM systems. Your CRM system can be like a system where you're storing the data, where you're keeping this data. We can also have different email tools, right? We have in most cases, the company using some kind of third-party service providers that help them to manage their marketing emails, or just to manage regular communication with their customers. And for sure, all this type of tools, all the third-party tools, they do have relation to personal data. They are either process them, either they or they maybe they store this data even, and you could not even know about this. Sometimes you just don't care about this. I mean, you know that you have these tools, or maybe you even maybe sometimes you just don't know about your rely on your website developer, right, that put in some tools or some integrations there, and that's all. But why it's important? Because when we have these tools, or these third-party tools available on the website, they can collect both active information from some users as well as passively, especially when we talk about analytics tools. They do collect a lot of information passively from users. So that's not only visitors' information on the number of visitors that are coming to your website, right? This is also information about session recordings, information about like fingerprints, sometimes information about IP addresses, right? It's just the most obvious and regular type of information that are collected by analytics tools. And a lot of other, sometimes you need to check their documentation, to check their security practices, to check their public-facing documents, to ensure that you are aware of every piece of information that is collected, that is processed by this tool that you have already integrated on the website. We also have, why I have mentioned CRM system, because sometimes data are coming from users from the forms. I let's call them lead forms, because you can have both them on the website, you can have them on a third-party tools, third-party websites which are not directly related to your company, but you're placing, for example, in the form of ad, you're placing the lead form that help you to get new content, that helps you to get data from perspective, right? That the person that are not your clients yet, but you would like to give their information. And sometimes these forms contains open forms where you can enter the details, where you can even attach some information. You can attach additional documents, or you can attach additional photos, images, right? And no one cares, no one actually thinks about it, that in this type of data a lot of personal data can be kept, meaning that even if a person just attaching some kind of image which relates to this person, right, which identify this person, it's already personal data, and you need to treat this data as personal, right? Meaning that you will need to take care about this. You cannot just just put this data in the CRM system and even like don't make any other actions to protect this data, to think about them, to learn how you will actually use this data further, right? How you will retain, for how long, for what period you are going to retain this data. All this question you are not asking. You just think that like you have this form, is this CRM system, I'm having this data, and they are all coming somewhere, right? It doesn't work like this, right? So that's why you need to take care about it. And sometimes there's also chatbots, right, on the websites, which also a part of, I would say, like CRM system, because in most cases data also come into your customer management platform, right, where you have this data. And again, the same attachment, the same documents can be present there, even if you sometimes like people even can't share some sensitive data there, right? That's why you may see a lot of websites put in the message that do not share any sensitive or confidential information, because like it's really a really good mark and alarm that you don't need to do it as a website visitor or a user, because it's a really good like alarm that maybe the company doesn't care about this data, they do not classify them, they do not divide them, and they just protect them, or maybe even not protect at all, right? So these all hidden places that I have already mentioned, you need to check for sure, you need to be aware that they exist, that the data can be there, and this data is your responsibility. This is what you need to understand from the first point. Another point I want to stop just for another couple of minutes and to talk about is there type of users, or let's say type of data subjects that you might have on your website or on your mobile app that are coming to your website. So in other words, we are talking about the different types of data subjects, or I call them data categories, that can travel across your website, and you even do not divide them. You do not understand that all these are different types of personal data, because they relate and they belong to different type of data categories. So let's again take the example with a website. And
for sure you are offering some kind of product there, and you have, in most cases, if you're, for example, let's say selling some product or offering some services, you might have the option to register users. You might have the option to offer, as I've already mentioned, to offer a demo version of your product to be able to test it, right? And let's say you also have a separate page for applying to jobs. If you have some open positions on the website, or you're looking for some employees, like you want to join to your team, right? So you are making another form, a special form, which your interested candidates need to apply for, which they need to fill it out to be able you to contact them. So all this information that I have mentioned right now, they all belong to different types of users or data subjects. So when a user just visits your website, it doesn't. It's actually his or her first contact point with your company, with your website. He hasn't or she hasn't never visited this website before. So this is the category website visitor. Meaning that they just browsing your website, they haven't ordered anything yet, they haven't created any account with you, right? And you might even think that I don't need to care about these persons, about these individuals, because they haven't purchased anything, they are not my customers, I haven't collected any personal data from them. Why should I care about them? But remember the first aspect we talked about passive data collection points, the data that are collected passively, right? Without even their knowledge of your website visitors sometimes, because average customer, average website visitor, they're not aware about personal data protection in most cases. Yeah, they might be like, they can know something in general aspect or some in general like a general way, right? But they do not know the specifics. But your website has analytics tools installed. Your website might even have, for I don't know, sometimes it's not only just one analytics tool site. Sometimes you're also having advertising pixels. It's special, again, special passive, let's say it's passive trackers, tracking tags that help you to actually to advertise to this person. So sometimes you have also third-party pixels installed on the website, which help also third-party advertisers to offer personalized advertising to this person, to the person that visited your website, or to offer any other kind of information, or like also offering the actually to offer the advertising related to your product when this person visited your website just for first time, right? All this information is collected passively, and you will need to learn this, and you will also need to treat the data of this person, of these actually users, like personal data. You need to take care about them because they do matter. They do, this information does relate to personal data as well, and you need to figure it out, right? Again, we also have another type of customers, or sorry, another type of data subjects. They are called your customers. These are persons that already become your actually clients. They have already shared some personal data with you. Maybe they have created their account, maybe they offered some product or services from you, but they already part of your ecosystem as a business owner, or as your product, right? So for sure you will need to treat the data of such data subjects as personal data as well. What else we have? We also have here another type of data subjects as employees or candidates, job applicants, right? These are persons that are interested in getting job with you, and you are actually collecting the information from these data subjects for another purpose. So you don't want to sell something to this person, you don't want to offer their products or to offer your demo version. You have another purpose, right? And for sure, the data that you're collecting from them, you are also collecting for another purpose, right? So you want to offer them job, you want to collect this data and transfer it to your HR department, or in the future you will use this data for payroll purposes. All this actually a separate category, and for sure you will need to also to store this data separately from your client's database or from your website visitors data, right? So you also have another category of obligations. You have another requirements to their protection and to their handling of personal data of these users, of these employees or job applicants. That's why you need to understand this distinction. That's why you need to be aware that all this type of users exist, and you need to take care about every type of this data subject separately. This is very important, right? You need to understand the purpose for the collection of each of this data subject, of each piece of information you're collecting, and you need to understand your requirements and your obligations, right, for this. So I would also like to stop for a while with another topic, and about really obvious and really regular misconcept that I hear a lot from business developers, from website owners, that if that we do not store any personal data, right? So we do not store, meaning we are not obliged to. We do not need to comply with any personal data protection laws. We do not need to think about this. It's not our obligation at all. But they do not understand in most cases what actually storing means, what actually how you actually can store, because there are different types of ways how you can do this. You as a business owner, it's your responsibility to think about the type of tools you're using, how you are going to store this data, and if you decide to actually collect this data, you for sure need to think about the protection methods, right? So what does it mean store? Store means that you're physically, or maybe not even physically, maybe you're storing this data keeping this data on third-party cloud providers, and these data are not physically collected within your server, right? And this is the really usual misconception, because sometimes business owners or website developers, they think that if they do not physically store some data on their physical servers, like basically when they leave or maybe where their office are located, they automatically think that they do not store data. But it doesn't work like this, right? So you can store data in different ways, right? Yeah, okay, the first way is to physically collect in your physical location, your physical servers. But you also, in most cases, when we talk about websites, or when we talk about mobile apps or SaaS platforms, we are not talking about storing data in your physical location. We are talking about using third-party cloud providers like Amazon servers, like Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, different types of them. And for sure, even if you store this data like remotely on the third-party service providers, it doesn't mean that you are not obliged to take care about personal data. It doesn't mean that you are not collecting or processing this data. Yeah, you are like a business owner. You are collecting this data. You are responsible for them. You're responsible to be able to ensure that you are actually following all the rules, all the requirements regarding this data that you are collecting. But in this case, this data are stored on the third-party service provider, right? Meaning that these are third-party service providers, they are acting on your behalf, right? So they do it actually because you asked them, because you have engaged them as a business owner. They didn't decide just to come to you and to put all this integrated in your website automatically and just starting storing this data. No, they did it because you have put this in your system. You have decided that your system will be run on this server, right? And it means that you're still staying responsible for this data. Yeah, they will be your data processors, and you will need to take care that they are processing this data in a correct manner, that they do actually follow the rules, that they follow the agreements that you have signed with them, and you will need to sign the agreements with them for sure, in electronic or written manner, it doesn't matter, but you are still staying responsible in all these cases. Because this is where the main concept and difference between data controllers and data processors states. You, as a business owner and as a data controller, you decide the scope of data you are going to collect, you are deciding on the purposes of you are going to use this data, and for sure on the means of processing of this data. And the means of processing is for sure when we talk about about deciding on the type of how you actually use this data, how you will process, which type of third-party service providers you will engage to your actually product, right? So that's everything what means under this concept. So before we wrap it up, everything we talked about today, I want to, as I promised actually in the beginning of this webinar, that I wanted to give you a simple checklist, simple approach that you can apply right away to check what type of data you actually collected, to ensure that you have everything is checked from your end, that everything is maintained in the correct order. First of all, what you can do is for sure you'll need to check your website or mobile app, and you can do it by yourself. So just go through the website, through every web page, check every website point, actual website contact form. Sometimes they call it inquiry form. You will know for sure what I mean about on this. Any form that collecting any type of personal data from users, when you are asking them to share some details to learn more about your product, maybe even a lot of websites have also newsletter subscribe forms or just marketing email subscribe forms. They do also collect some type of information. Usually it's just email address. You can also have name, address, doesn't matter, right? But you need to check to ensure that you are know for sure what type of what configuration of your website looks like, what type of forms you have, because this is the first point to check, right? Another point, as we talked about passively data that collected automatically without even knowledge of users. What I am suggesting doing, you can use any type of cookie website scanners. They are doing a really good job. I will not recommend any of this tool specifically right now. They do not pay me and I will not do it, right? But so at this point, we are not talking about integrated any tools to manage these cookies. I'm just asking you to check whether you are collecting these cookies. In 99%, you will for sure collect them, right? I know that a lot of websites collecting different types of functionality, analytics tools, analytics cookies and marketing cookies. And the first point here, as we're talking about actually identifying this personal data, it's the first point just to learn that you are actually collecting them, right? That you have these cookies present on the website. Next step, you need to talk with your website developer, or if you're actually a website developer by yourself, you just need to check all third-party providers, all integrated tools that you have present on the website. There are a lot of information that they do collect, that do actually process on your behalf, right? And the issue here is that they are acting as data processors in most cases. So if you selected them, meaning that you're trusting these partners, they are your vendors, they are partners that you work with, and if they collect and process, if they actually process this data and you don't know about them, right, or you wasn't sure that they did this, it's not the problem of this data processor. You will be the first person who will be responsible for this. So if you're actually getting some trouble for collecting some type of data that your users couldn't be aware of, it would be your problem, right? You will not be able to blame the vendors that you have been using, right? So you need to check it and to ensure that you're knowing for sure what type of data each of these vendors is collecting. As another good practice, when you already decided, when you've checked all these points, another point that you can do is to check whether your privacy notice or your privacy policy present on the website does actually in a correct manner and fully describe what was actually identified by you during this audit check, right? That it's correlates with your actual business matters, with your actual privacy operations. Because sometimes, for sure, this privacy policy they just put on the website just for check, right? And they do not reflect your actual practices. Sometimes a lot of business owners tend to use competitors' websites and competitors' privacy policies, just changing the names of the company, and they are thinking that, yeah, that's pretty good, we are right now good to go. No, it doesn't work like this. Your privacy policy should reflect exactly what you are doing and how you're doing this. So this is actually all that I wanted to talk with you about today. I hope that it would really be helpful for business owners, for mobile website developers, for any person engaged in the personal data protection and processing of personal data. Next week, we are going to talk about how you can define which privacy laws apply to your business. So we will talk about some tricks, about some specifics which can help you decide where actually you need to dive deeply in the topics. That's all for today, and thank you for everyone who came today, and I hope to